Hi, my name is Dr. Faria Bukhari, Dr. Fab. I'm right now over here at Phoenix City Hall. I'm doing a protest asking the US Supreme Court to intervene and stop the Biden administration and the US Congress, all of it, including a lot of Republicans and the Democrats, from violating Section 1091 of Title 18 of US law. As I speak these words, Biden administration and a lot of Republicans and Democrats are right now breaking American Constitution, Section 1091 of Title 18, that defines a genocide as a crime. In US Constitution, not in the International Criminal Court, that has been termed as the kangaroo court by Tom Cotton, but by the US Constitution that people like Tom Cotton are supposed to abide by. This is the American law, and I did not write it. Biden is openly violating the US Constitution by committing a genocide of people of Gaza, refusing to abide by the laws and the charter, the statutes that are written in the American Constitution that disallow the US government from committing a genocide, from funding a genocide, from arming a genocide. The entire US Congress, majority of it, except for a handful of representatives, is right now also complicit in violation of Section 1091 of Title 18 of the US law. I am not talking about the United Nations. I am not talking about the International Court of Justice. I am not talking about the International Criminal Court. I'm here on the US ground talking about the US Constitution that is not being broken by me or anybody else, but by the highest officials of the United States, who are supposed to be the first ones to safeguard the US Constitution and ensure its implementation. What to expect in a country if the highest officials, the US President and most of the US Congress, is obsessed with committing a genocide, facilitating a genocide, funding a genocide, arming a genocide against Section 1091 of Title 18 of US Constitution. If International Criminal Court has no value in the eyes of Biden administration and the US Congress, my question to both is, do you have any respect for the US law? What are you, if not a kangaroo Congress and a kangaroo president, if you refuse to abide by the Constitution of the country that you're supposed to represent? ICC has not written Section 1091 of Title 18 of US law. This has been written by the American people in lieu of the democracy, in lieu of the sovereignty of this country. So if you dare to break it, thus disrupting the democracy and the sovereignty of this country, then you are very much you're very much liable to be punished. You're very much liable to be tried in the US court for enabling a genocide. And we don't need International Criminal Court to declare you a war criminal, because the American law is here to protect the lives of children of Gaza. They don't need the International Criminal Court. They don't need the International Court of Justice. They don't need any other court of the world. They have the US Constitution that protects their lives and that is supposed to stop any act of genocide that have been committed against them. The first branch of the US government, Biden, the executive branch, has been sold to AIPAC. The second branch of the US government, the US Congress, has been sold to AIPAC. But the question I have today, that's why I'm here, is to the US Supreme Court, the third branch of the US government. My question is, are you sold to AIPAC too? American kids are getting attacked by foreign militia on US university campuses because the US Congress is compromised, is corrupt and greedy. What I'm worried about is that if the US court failed to intervene and impose Section 1091 of Title 18 of US Constitution, these corrupt US representatives and this corrupt president who has his fingers on weapons of mass destruction in the United States is not going to think twice, but unleash these weapons of mass destruction against the American people themselves. We saw what happened at the UCLA Gaza encampment, where American children were trying to stop the genocide, were brutally attacked by a foreign militia, Israeli militia. Their professors of US universities got their ribs fractured, they were hospitalized. A child, an American kid, got his skull fractured. He was not armed. All he wanted to do was to stop the genocide in Gaza, to stop the babies from getting lynched, from getting mutilated, from getting maimed, from getting massacred in his name. The US cops, LAPD, did not stop a foreign Israeli militia from attacking American kids who were unarmed. And this happened because the US president, the US Congress is compromised. They have given a foreign Israeli militia complete autonomy on US ground to attack our children on university campuses just because they are following their conscience and they want to stop a genocide from happening in their name. And then the greedy US Congress passes the anti-Semitism law. Do you know how many Jews are right now trying to stop this genocide from happening? Do you have any idea how many Jews got arrested in trying to protest peacefully for the rights of the people of Gaza and Palestine? Moses, peace be upon him, would never stand by the massacre and the butchering of unarmed little children of Gaza. The only one who's anti-Semitic is Netanyahu. Committing war crimes is a sin forbidden not just by the US Constitution, but by the Holy Book of Torah and by the Holy Book of Bible. You cannot justify massacre of little children in the name of self-defense, because this is not self-defense, this is state-sponsored terrorism. If United States Supreme Court, the third branch of US government, does not do its job and allow the US President and the US Congress to go rogue, my concern is that a worse kind of civil crisis is going to erupt in United States, and this US Congress and this US President is going to unleash weapons of mass destruction against the American people. We have seen college professors get their ribs fractured. We have seen American citizens, American children, get their skulls fractured just because they're trying to use their right, the First Amendment right of free speech. If two branches of the US government are compromised in a democratic nation, the third branch has to do its job. The US Supreme Court can put an end to the genocide in Gaza by overriding all laws, all draconian laws, all communist actions taken by the President of the United States in collusion with most of the US Congress. The US Supreme Court can offer to put the United States President and the US Congress on trial for committing, enabling, facilitating, funding, arming the genocide. So here I am requesting from the US Supreme Court to do its job before Armageddon happens on US ground. This is why you took your oath. Nobody knows the US law more than you. You don't need a lecture from International Court of Justice or a decree from the International Criminal Court. You know what Section 1091 of Title 18 of US Constitution says. That a genocide is prohibited. That it is a crime.
I agree.
Thank you. It is a crime to kill babies like this, like Netanyahu has been killing in Palestine, in Gaza. This is all I ask from you. It is your job to make sure that democracy is restored, that communism that is currently being imposed by Biden and the US Congress is eradicated, is eliminated, and the right of free speech of American kids on the US campuses, their rights are respected, they are stopped from getting detained, attacked, assaulted for trying to use their right of free speech. I have a lot of respect for those college professors of the Ivy League universities of US who have stood by their students against immense pressure from their college administration and from the local governments. I admire your courage. I admire your bravery because you are the true American heroes who will go down into history just like Martin Luther King is a renowned American hero known for his fight for the civil rights of the American people. History is being written right now, and these children who are mostly American citizens born and raised in US are writing the future of this nation. They are a hope for the entire world that even if the United States government is compromised, is greedy and corrupt, the American people, the American kids who are going to build the future of this country stand opposed to the rogue US Congress and the US President. So today, the main reason I'm here is to ask the US Supreme Court to kindly do what is supposed to be responsible for. When two branches of the US government fall, the third branch has to make sure that the founding principles of this country are restored, integrity of democracy and sovereignty of this country is preserved, and all elements who are breaking the laws and creating the law of the jungle instead are put on trial and impeached and punished. This is the only way to deter the genocide from happening anymore. There is no other way. The other way is bloody. The other way is going to take a lot of civilian lives, and we don't want to get there. We don't want a civil war, a civil crisis in US, because the scumbags who are sitting in the US Congress, presided by Biden, have their fingers on the weapons of mass destruction of the US Army. And they will not even think twice. They will not even think twice before they unleash these weapons of mass destruction upon the American people themselves. We are seeing what is happening to the American kids on US campuses. So don't tell me they are not capable of that. They are capable of that. They are greedy. They are corrupt. They have no soul. They don't believe in Torah. They don't believe in Bible. They don't believe in any religion. They are a cult obsessed with power, obsessed with money at the cost of everyone, including the American people themselves. They believe in something called the Hannibal Directive. They don't care a damn if they have to sacrifice the entire American country as per the Hannibal Directive just to meet their fanatic, extremist, radicalized ambitions. So, how can we stop a civil war from happening? How can we stop a civil crisis from happening? By the US Supreme Court observing the Section 1091 of Title 18 of US Constitution, prohibiting the Biden administration, the US Congress, from committing a genocide, from hosting a war criminal in the US Congress, from enabling the massacre, the butchering of thousands of children. We can do it. Two branches of the US government have fallen. They're gone, capiche, they're done. The third branch of US government, the US Supreme Court, has to enact Section 1091 of Title 18 of the US Constitution before it is too late for everybody. I am not a lawyer. I am not an expert of legislature. But I do know that US Constitution does not stand by the current policies of US Congress and US President. And when two branches of the US government are compromised, the only option left, the only sane, non-violent, peaceful option left is for the US Supreme Court to ensure to implement Section 1091 of Title 18 to make sure the Gaza genocide is stopped ASAP, and those who have enabled it, facilitated it, armed and funded it, must be put on trial so that it doesn't happen again. Those cops who watched the American kids in UCLA get their skulls fractured by a foreign Israeli militia must be put on trial too, because they are not here to have a foreign mercenary army attack American children. They are here to protect the lives of the brightest children on the brightest campuses of the world on US ground. These kids could have invented the cure for the most incurable diseases in the future. But they are being persecuted, they are being subjugated, they are being attacked, not by another army, but by the Biden administration and by the US Congress itself. The American children are no more safe from their own government. What more proof do you need, my US Supreme Court, that you have to intervene now? It's now or never. The US government is attacking American kids on the ground using a foreign Israeli militia and telling the American cops to continue to assault, detain, fracture the skulls of children in the brightest campuses of the world. Do you realize how hard it is to get into an Ivy League university? And these are not immigrants. Like Trump says, go back to your countries. What do you mean go back to your countries? This is their country. They're born and raised here. They are American children. 70% of Columbia University has the American kids in it. Only 30% are immigrants. The cop brutality, the cop politicization, the cop corruption has to be confronted and stopped. American cops are not getting paid by US tax dollars to attack American children who are trying to do the right thing. We tell our children to stand by the right side of history. We tell them that killing babies is wrong. This is how you raise your children, right? That you have to be peaceful, that you have to be nice, that you have to be kind. We tell them about the various genocides that have happened in the past, including the Holocaust. that was committed by Hitler. And we tell them to demonize, to denounce any such acts. But today, when they try to stop the Holocaust happening in Gaza and Palestine, they are getting attacked by the US government, by the tax-paid US cops who are supposed to protect them, not attack them. Do you need any more proof that the US government has fallen? Do you need any more proof that you have criminals and convicts, whether they are from the Republican Party or from the Democrat Party, sitting in the US Congress? Do you need any more proof that your children are not safe even from their own American president, from their own American Congress? So kindly stand up and ask the US Supreme Court, the US judiciary to override and overrule the crimes that are being committed by the Biden administration along with the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Lindsey Graham wants to nuke Gaza. Seriously. I mean, seriously. He says it was okay to nuke Hiroshima and Nagasaki, so it should be okay to nuke Gaza. This is the kind of homicidal killers that are sitting in the US Congress that have their fingers on the nukes of United States of America. I mean, seriously, US Supreme Court, when will you do your job? We have a kangaroo US president and we have a kangaroo US Congress. Do we have a kangaroo US Supreme Court too? That's the question I'm here to ask today. Bye-bye.